There's an element of engagement that I think comes kind of naturally to any therapist in this field to kind of help people feel comfortable when they might feel a little out of place. And so there's like this community building / retreat host part of me that I think makes this culinary tour and operation really work, because Freeman brings the professional chef side, obviously, and designs these amazing menus. And I'm focused on making sure every guest, feels comfortable and enjoys their experience.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson, and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I am so excited today to have Megan Smith-Gunnell, one of my dear, dear friends, business bestie, back on the Traveling Therapist Podcast for a second time. Megan has got so much going on. I was like, we just need to have you back on, because since the last time you were on here, you've done a ton of other things that I would love to tell the audience about. Not only just, your traditional, let me scale up my practice, maybe write a workbook or sell it, something like that, but you just always take it to the next level. So I thought it'd be so fun to have you back. Let's have you introduce yourself, and then let's just get into this and tell everybody what you've been up to since the last time you were on the Traveling Therapist Podcast.
Oh my gosh, Kim, thanks so much for the warm introduction. I am so honored to be your guest again, and I am so honored to be your dear friend and business bestie. We have really done a lot of cool things over the last few years, so thank you always for your support. And I'm excited to be back with your audience today, talking a little bit about how we can get super creative and think outside the box as therapists who have joys and passions outside of the clinical office. So for those who don't know me, I'm the admin of the Thriving Therapist Facebook community. I'm the founder of the Thriving Well Institute. I'm a group practice owner outside Detroit, Michigan. And I recently formed a company with my husband called Gunnell Innovation. And we do some really cool creative things together with that company as well.
Yes. Oh, you've got so much going on. It's amazing. I just love to watch you just create these new and different things. But what I really want to talk about is the Gunnell Innovations part of it, because I think a lot of therapists don't think about what kind of talent do I have even in my own family? How can I use the relationships and the different types of creative energy that my family members have? How can we merge this and make it into something big and awesome to share with the world? So let's talk about Gunnell Innovations, like how that came about and what you do with it, and what you've got coming up with it.
Well, it started a long time ago, actually. It was born out of necessity, because when I was hosting one-day workshops, I ended up needing a catered lunch. And I turned to my husband, who's a professional chef, and said, "What are you doing next Saturday? Can you make a lunch for 50 people?" And he, over the years, always, cooked for my events and, brought wonderful, delicious food to those. And he did a beautiful job, with all the meal prep for some of my local Michigan retreats. I used to host client-facing, retreats for women in Northern Michigan. And he would do all the food for that. And it was just phenomenal. We had a lot of fun working together. And then at the same time, he owned and operated a bakery and cafe in our hometown in Grosse Pointe for about 10 years. We have since closed that. But when he was running it, he was like, I kind of miss the old days of doing executive chef, like fine dining, because that was his start in the food industry. He did a ton of really nice, high-end dinners, white linen tablecloths, like, chef's table kind of food. And here he was running a bakery and cafe, mostly making croissants and cookies and wedding cakes and things like that, soups and sandwiches, but he was never really doing those fancy dinners. So one day he turned to me and he said, "I really want to try to transform the bakery into a beautiful, like 5-star restaurant just for one night only." And I'm going to do it with 2 other chefs. So it'll be 3 chefs. We'll do 5 courses. We'll have 44 seats because that's how much we could hold in the bakery. And I want you to be my front of the house, like hostess and head server. And I looked at him and thought, yes, I'll totally do that. And I can't wait to host it with you. And I used my strengths on community building and organizing like the landing page and the tickets and registration for it, promoting it and marketing it. And we sold out that first pop-up so fast. It was like super successful.
Wow.
So from there, we decided to do more of them, and we did them once a month for several years, and they literally sold out in minutes, and they were super popular in our neighborhood, and we loved hosting them. And then one day I looked at Freeman and said, now we have a platform. Now we can actually host something in Europe.
Oh my gosh. How exciting is that?
It was so fun.
And I want to talk about all that too, but I want to point out, before we hit record, we were just talking about like just taking this creativity that you have and all of this experience that you have with building audiences, building a list, how to market an event, how to set up the back end logistics to sell the event. Like you have honed that skill over the last 20 years or whatever that you've been doing retreats and planning community events and that sort of thing. And then you've just like pivoted and put it into practice with this new idea, which I just love so much.
That's the thing. I think I want to encourage therapists to really pause and think outside the box, because if you have an interest or a skill set or your passion lies in something that is not therapy related, which it should, right? We should all have kind of outside interest. Then what can you do to actually make some sort of offer out of that? Like, let's say, for example, you have a listener who is a therapist, but they're also a registered yoga instructor. Maybe there would be a really cool way that you could host something that kind of combines those interests. And you could offer yoga for, burnout prevention and recovery, or yoga for mindfulness or self-care, for any industry. It could be a corporate wellness program, could be something, a B2B offer, business to business, like something from a therapist to a therapist. It could be for client-facing kind of needs, depending on the niche or specialty that you want to focus on. But there are so many ways that you can actually bundle up your joy and passion and skill set and creatively come up with a sort of new business idea and let it be born out of something you love.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that we're kind of giving permission here to go outside of the therapy world, because I know we're all inundated on Facebook with all these therapist coaches that are trying to sell all this stuff. And it's okay to not just be in the therapy world and just go out and, like you said, to corporate America or wherever this passion takes you. If it's yoga or, Megan started making pottery, if you want to incorporate that pottery workshops into the community or something. I mean, anything that you feel passionate and creative about, sort of the principles we're talking about here: build the list, learn how to market it, know who your audience is, put that out there into the world, and you could turn anything into a money-making thing that you're passionate about, and it gets you outside of the therapy room, which a lot of us are ready for. A lot of us are burned out with just seeing clients back to back every day. I know Megan and I have both been through that journey.
Yes, for sure.
Transitioning out of a really heavy client caseload into things like this that can bring in more income and joy and passion and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and there's a lot of elements of hosting these culinary tours in Europe that, have nothing to do with my everyday life and being a therapist. I mean, you'll find me pouring coffee and wine and washing dishes in the kitchen, but I can't tell you, Kim, how much joy I experience when I am living in a villa in the middle of Tuscany for a week, hosting people and serving them the most mind-blowing, delicious 5-course dinners every night, and taking them through the markets and helping them experience the slow living and the dolce vita of Italy that I adore. And to be able to share that joy with other people and to watch the community sort of grow over the week that I'm there is really fun for me. And there is a side of being a therapist that comes in really handy in these
Mm.
culinary tours. Because there is a time when people will arrive, there's like 20 strangers that land in this villa and they kind of look at me like, I don't know anyone here and I'm feeling a little out of place. And then before you know it, we're all in the kitchen together, rolling pasta and laughing and like filling raviolis and stirring sauces. And we're all cooking and laughing together. And like, it's instant connection. But you, as a
Nice.
therapist, kind of how to make people feel safe and make people feel like they can connect with themselves and each other. And there's an element of engagement that I think comes kind of naturally to any therapist in this field to kind of help people feel comfortable when they might feel a little out of place. And so there's like this community building / retreat host part of me that I think makes this culinary tour and operation really work, because Freeman brings the professional chef side, obviously, and designs these amazing menus. And I'm focused on making sure every guest, feels comfortable and enjoys their experience.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. So tell us just a little bit about the process. Like, if somebody wanted to do something like this, they've identified, they're listening, they're like, oh my God, yes, I am trauma-informed yoga instructor. How does somebody get started with putting an idea like this into movement, like getting it going? What would you suggest?
It's sort of like building the airplane while you're flying it, right? And we both know how that feels because you're thinking about what you're designing and you're holding on to the dream of what you want to create. And at the same time, you're thinking about building your platform for this offer. So my husband and I had lived in Munich in 1999 and 2000. So many, many years ago, we were living in Europe. And that's actually where we started dreaming about one day we'll rent a villa in Italy and one day we'll take people there and do these really cool food and wine tours. That's where it started. And then many, many years later, I think it was 2018, we started our very first culinary tour there, but it took us like 19 years, to actually design and build this thing. So it doesn't have to take you 20 years to do this. But you do have to think carefully about your platform. And that's something I talk about a lot when I do coaching with therapists. It's something that I teach a lot in my membership community, Elevate. I'm always trying to help people understand a little bit more about, you could have the best offer in the world, but without the right community or the platform to offer it to, it can be very difficult to actually make it successful.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So tell us about what's coming up. Tell us about the tours that are coming up and how you coordinated this whole thing, because you do still have a caseload. You do run a group practice, although I think you've recently handed that off to somebody, right? You've decided to delegate like a clinical director type position to give you more space.
Yes. So I'm still running the group practice, but I have a wonderful new clinical director who's in a wonderful position to do a lot of the hands-on kind of like best practices and making sure notes are up to date and kind of all those pieces that a clinical director would oversee, like handling the intakes and referrals and watching our credentialing and billing, stuff on that end. So yes, I still oversee the group, and I haven't sold it. I don't plan to sell it anytime soon, but I really love managing my group, but I want to focus on the parts of it that I really love the most and let someone else do some of the other tasks that are sometimes a little bit time consuming for me. So that's been really a good pivot for me in terms of efficiency.
That's amazing. So you figured out how to kind of step back a little bit, but still do the parts that you love. You still get your membership group. You've got your Thriving Therapist Facebook group. So how are you making time, to go over and do these tours that you're going to be doing over there? How are you fitting all this in? Like, how do you plan for it? Because I think you're going to have food tours over there and a therapist retreat all during the same, is it the same month that you're going to be doing them all?
So I'm going to be there probably about 5 weeks in the fall. Okay. We do a Provence tour first in the south of France, a culinary tour there. And we have a weekend off, and then we have the Tuscany tour right behind it. So back-to-back tours. And we do it that way because we want to run more than one at a time. And when you think about the overhead of flying your team over, because we fly a professional photographer, we have a staff photographer now, we fly over 2 other chefs that help us, because when you're making 5 or 6 course dinners a night for 20 people, you need to have more than one chef. We have a staff member in Tuscany who helps us with setting tables, clearing tables, and serving. So there's a lot kind of that goes into it behind the scenes. And then I coordinate all of the tour aspects. So, when we go to the market or we go to the wineries or we do day trips or excursions, like I coordinate all of that as well. But yeah, we'll be doing 2 back-to-back culinary tours. And then my husband and I have 1 week off. So we're deciding where we want to go in Italy for that 1 week break. And then we will run together the Thrive Retreat in Tuscany for my Thriving Therapist audience. So I thought, if I'm already over there and we're going to be empty nesters in the fall, my daughter goes to college in September. So I thought, well, maybe we should just take the show on the road and stay in Europe for about 5 weeks and be able to offer all these things at once. And I can still, build in some coaching calls and do a little bit of my other work when I'm over there, because it's so beautiful that everything is remote now. And it's easy for me to do that from a distance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How amazing. I get excited just hearing about it. So what should we tell the audience about just like following your passion and like what that's done for you in your life and how it's helped you move away from, that day-to-day kind of like seeing clients one after one after one and just really following that passion and what it's done for your life, like how it's changed you to like build all these things that you're super passionate about? Hey everyone, I wanted to break in here real quick and let you know about a company called Alma. As you may know, I have a variety of resources available to therapists who want to bill insurance in their private practice. I have a comprehensive membership to teach you how to bill on your own, but I also refer mental health practitioners to companies like Alma who can do your billing for you if you don't want to hire billers or do it on your own. If this sounds like the kind of support you need in your insurance-based private practice, consider joining Alma. Get the tools and support you need to manage and grow your private practice, accept insurances, and focus on what matters most, delivering high quality care to your clients. I've shared my personal referral link in the show notes of this episode if you want to schedule an appointment and check them out.
Well, I think one thing we have to keep in mind is that these things don't happen overnight and that we have to start small to grow big, right? So when we had this dream of doing these, culinary tours in Europe, a lot of people thought that sounds really cool. But what they didn't have with us yet was what we call the know, like, and trust factor in the coaching industry, right? So we built that by doing these successful sold out pop-up dinners on a regular basis, and the marketing and the effort that went into that and the demonstration, sort of the social proof of how wonderful those events were, was enough for our audience locally to say, hey, these guys are legit. They really do this. And the food that we've experienced at these pop-ups is outstanding, and it would be really cool to travel with them. And we now know them, like them, and trust them. And so then they were willing to, put forth the much larger, investment in going over and doing culinary tours with us in Europe. So it took a little time to kind of like feel a sense of readiness to launch into something that large. But in the meantime, it was also a great learning opportunity for us to work together to figure out what we liked about the pop-ups, what was working, what wasn't working, which chefs we liked working with the most, and, what menus people really enjoyed, and, how far could we push the envelope on things? Like we got a little edgy with some of the things that we were serving, and people were there for it and they really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's important, I think, to think about keeping the big vision, the big dream, in your field of vision the entire time you're building something, because you're holding that as the visionary leader and CEO of your dream company or business. You are the one that's holding that dream. And so it's important that you keep that in the foreground of your imagination while you're strategically also building towards that launch or that offer, because it can take some time and there is some strategy that you have to, build into it. So I think first you have to think about starting small, sort of testing your idea. Maybe like I did, build some one-day workshops, to see if anybody comes, and then build weekend retreats locally, and then build, international big week-long retreats, and then rinse and repeat that model, because once you do it once, also people will see what they missed. And then the ones who were thinking about doing it the first time, will sign up for your second one. So usually the first one is the hardest to launch. And then after that, you usually have a little more traction because you'll get some testimonials, you'll have some photography, you have some, sort of social proof and testimonials and all different kinds of things that will help you prove that this is a legitimate thing. I mean, I have people emailing me now, Kim, that are saying, where are you going for your culinary tours in 2024? And can we get on the list?
I love that.
So it's kind of like a thing now, I mean,
yes.
people do it with the Thrive retreats and Thrive summits. I've got people emailing me constantly, like, I can't come to this one, but where's the one in 2024? Or we're going in 2025, so it's just been really funny to see that people believe that you're going to make it again. I mean, I'm still over here trying to figure out, like, where am I going to do the next one? But it's a thing now,
That is just amazing. Oh my gosh, so exciting. And this is going to air before we go to Costa Rica. Are there still spots available in Costa Rica?
So
I don't even know.
Costa Rica is pretty much sold out. We actually oversold the hotel that we're hosting in, and we sold out the hotel next to us. So that was a major leap of faith for me to put my life and finances on the line to host that many people internationally. Yeah. But I decided to do it. I took the leap of faith. I had a calculated risk there, and it worked out great because we completely oversold it at the hotel and we sold out next door. So that's been wonderful. We're excited about that. But I do have some rooms left for the Thrive retreat in Tuscany. And if you are listening and you're interested in doing some of this kind of business building and scaling, and you really need a better roadmap or some clear guidance on how to do it, I'm going to be your coach the entire time we're staying in the Villa, Italy, and Freeman will do the cooking. And we're going to go through some really great workshops that will help you learn how to be the entrepreneur and CEO of your vision and scalable business. So I can't wait to dive into that.
Absolutely. And I actually did Megan's small therapist retreat a year ago. I guess it was a year ago, right?
It was. We were all in
Costa Rica the first time. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I just can't even say enough about it. So if you get the opportunity to go on one of these, please sign right up. I wish I could go to this Tuscany one. I've got a cruise booked during the same time. So I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I know, but it's going to be amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what else, just while you're talking, some thoughts just coming to me. Megan and I sort of started this journey kind of together. We've been together through this. And just, one thing while you're talking, I was thinking over time, the ideas evolve. You're building this thing as you're going, these different things, they grow, they get bigger and bigger. And we were even just talking about this the other day. It's like, sometimes it just gets so big that you have to start bringing in new systems and people to help you in the process. So that's sort of the next part that comes along with this stuff, is really trying to hire a good team, which has been a journey for me, for sure. I'll talk about it on this podcast, just trying to find good people that care about your business as much as you do, that can help you through the journey, because it does start to get to a point where, Megan and I can create a landing page, but we don't know how to do technical funnels to, nurture an email list and put it through to a sales page and the membership platform. And it starts to get complicated when you have these big ideas and you're trying to expand and grow. So that's something I just always like to remind people of. Just start thinking about putting a strong team around you, even business besties that you can talk to that, are going to help get you through the tough stuff, because it does sound great. It's beautiful, these things Megan puts together, but it's a lot of work too. So
it's true. There's a lot behind the scenes. I think that people think it looks so beautiful and easy and wonderful from the outside. And I want them to look and see that and feel that. Yeah. But in the back end of it, even with the culinary tours, but especially with the size and scope of the Thrive Summit in Costa Rica, I mean, we have 130 guests now and 20 speakers, and we did CEs with 2 organizations. And it's been this unbelievable, a spreadsheet bonanza, like behind the scenes. And like, it's just, I can't even tell you how much work it is to coordinate and manage it and make it feel seamless and easy for the guest experience. So yes, hiring the right team is really critical. And what I'll say about that is you want to be very sure that everybody who works with you or for you is completely aligned with your vision, mission, and purpose of your business. Because if you find somebody that's really great that can do something for your business, but they aren't aligned with your mission, you're going to feel that down the road. And you want that level of investment. You want that level of excitement and enthusiasm, that they're as excited about what you're doing as you are. And that's hard to find, but when you find it, you really also want to nurture those people. And being a good sort of manager of, a team is, I think, a skill that I'm learning about too, because of course we went to school to be great clinicians. We didn't get an MBA, so I didn't know anything about managing a team, and I had to kind of learn that on my own. But what I have learned is, inviting these people to be, very deep in the process of contributions to like the thought that goes into how you structure things, how to run a launch, how to manage the details. I ask my team members all the time, lots of questions like, what do you think we should do? What do you think about this? What are your ideas on this? I don't just do a top-down leadership where I'm like, get this done, get this done. I always invite them in to help guide me on, what they think would be the best way to do something. And that's been a game changer. I think my team feels respected by me. And I always try really hard to make sure that I support whatever their vision for their future is too. If they want to grow and do something else, or they have different strengths or skill sets that they want to bring to the table, I'm all for it. I want to definitely maximize what their goals and dreams and mission is too. Because ultimately you want longevity with the team members that you develop, a relationship with, right?
Absolutely. Longevity, investment, working as hard on your business as you would, all of those things. That's so true. Nurturing them and letting them be a part of the process. Yeah. I mean, these are lessons I'm learning too. Like I had no idea how to manage all these people I'm hiring into my business, Right. So it's definitely a learning experience. Yeah. But it's the next step, once you start to build this stuff, you have to have that to get bigger, Yeah.
I have one little example I want to share with you guys about this. And I could tell a lot of stories about how this shows up in my management of my team, but going back to the culinary tours in Italy, the very first time we hosted at the villa where we always host now, the owner of the villa said that if we ever needed help, because they are used to hosting large events at this villa because it's very big. And she said, we have people that can help you locally. So just text me and let me know. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, please sign me up for whatever help I can get, because I can't do the dishes myself. And I can't manage the service. Like, it's really a lot of, when you're doing high end, like plated meals for that many people, it's like it's a lot of work. So I want to make sure that I have like 2 or 3 hands helping me all the time. And I got connected to this incredibly beautiful young woman who is living in Tuscany. She's originally from Romania. And I have worked with her every single year that I've gone over there. She brings a friend of hers that helps us too. But I'll just give you one quick example. Last time we were there, last fall, we were hosting one of the dinners, and I was, thinking of a million things. I'm trying to organize a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and I never got flower arrangements for the dinner table. And so I was kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to put on this table? When we have these beautiful white linen tablecloth that goes right down the middle of this table, I'm setting all the china and the crystal, everything. And we put the candles out, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it just looks so plain. Like, I wish I had something. And in walks Catalina with her friend Luana, and they were each holding huge handmade arrangements that they had picked from their own gardens for our tables, our centerpieces. And I almost started crying. I was so overjoyed, and she knew that I didn't have time to figure that out. And they just walked in and they both had these huge smiles on their face and they just handed me these beautiful arrangements. And I literally almost started just bawling like a baby. I was like, this is so beautiful. And I'm like, thank you for thinking of that. I mean, it was so precious that they wanted to make it as special as we did. They could have just come in and been like, we're getting an hourly wage. We're serving this dinner and we're washing dishes. And like, that's it. Like we have to do some of that hard work of like, we all like schlep garbage out and bring out the wine bottles. And like, it's a lot behind the scenes. And it's like, it's kind of the other side of the kitchen that like a lot of people don't see. But she wanted to make it as beautiful as I did. And that says to me, she's aligned with the vision that we have. So
yes. Oh my gosh. And it goes to show your nurturing of the whole experience and the people that you're bringing into your life and how you treat them. And that's kind of how it's going to be reflected back to you with these processes or these events that you're putting together. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. But I think it really, all of it comes back to tapping into what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel joyful, because these are the experiences I want more of. And when I feel that, and I'm excited about bringing people to these beautiful locations, whether it's for a conference or a summit or a retreat or a culinary tour, I'm all about it. And so if I feel that excitement and enthusiasm and joy inside my own being, it's easy for me to translate the invitation for others to come.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing about this. I really hope it inspires you guys out there listening to just follow your passion and create something. It could become huge. It could become your full-time job. It could become just something you do occasionally, but just following that passion, like just even looking at Megan while she's talking about this, you can tell how much she loves it, So I just think that's the key to this whole thing, is trying to connect to something that's going to let you be able to share this passion with the world and give you joy while you're creating it and earning an extra income, around it and scaling down from the like 40 clients a week kind of model.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's my pleasure to be here today, Kim. And I do hope this inspires people to think outside the box.
Me too. So how can they reach you? If anybody wants to reach out and work with you or sign up for one of your events, how do they do that?
Sure. You can become a member of the Thriving Therapist Facebook group, or you can find me at thrivingwellinstitute.com.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Megan. The links will all be in the show notes. Please reach out to her. Go to her events. I've been to quite a few, and I'm sure I'm going to go to many, many more. I'm going to Costa Rica in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Oh my gosh, the countdown begins. I know, I just can't believe it. It's coming up so fast.
They're wonderful. So, and everything that we're talking about, this energy you exude, about this passion you have for these things, it really shows through in her events. So I hope you guys will check it out and maybe I'll see you there.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you again, Kim.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.